Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Andrew Davis, and this is Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am Scandalous Like an Ashley, and I am super excited to have Patrick Hurt on, who is a voice actor. I believe he's a music engineer, a sound engineer, some other cool stuff, and some interesting stuff that's going on. So, yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm gonna be. I saw your interview with Beth a little while ago, and I was just like, oh, cool. Beth got interviewed, but then I wasn't expecting anything from it, and then you emailed me. And I'm just like, okay, I guess this is happening now.
No. I'm happy. I said I had a fun interview with Beth, and obviously I reach out to a lot of people, and I go both, I guess mainstream and veteran voice actors, and then I go
Yeah,
new people, and I like to mix things up, and I like to get a little funky
yeah.
sometimes, a little off Broadway is the saying.
Yeah, you always try to do a mix. At least for me, always try to do a mix of everything from both professional and I hate to say amateur. I'd like to say more starting out. That's my thing because
It's interesting, right?
Mhm.
Because what I used to do, and I'm going to eventually get back to it in September, is I used to do a lot of indie wrestlers.
Oh.
And what happens sometimes is that you interview an indie wrestler and then they get hired by AEW or WWE or Impact Wrestling. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I interviewed them when they were brand new.
Oh
And
wow.
as people climb up, so people
Mhm.
like Tegan Knox, I interviewed her as Nixon Noel, and she's in WWE. And so all of a
Nice.
sudden, like that's sometimes also what happens is that you never know where people are going to be. And it's very important to understand that you have to bet on the future sometimes
Mhm.
because I don't know where anybody's going to be in reality. And I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. And there you go. For all I know, I could be having a show on a network television for all I
Yeah.
know.
Who knows? You never know.
So it's one of those things. But enough about that because obviously I mentioned a lot of stuff that you do. And I figured I would allow you to introduce yourself because there's people who know you, there's people who don't know you. And I figured that you're the best person to introduce yourself to my audience and all the people who are going to be seeing this, watching this, checking it out, and all that fun stuff. Before we get into some of the nitty gritty stuff that you've done.
All right. Sounds good. Hi. I'm Patrick Hurt. I'm a voice actor, musician slash singer, audio engineer, and uh, I do YouTube. I do streams. I make music. Obviously, I mostly right now make covers, but I have original music in the background sometimes. But it's more of along. I'm still demoing stuff and trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm honestly more leaning into like metal and new metal and like rock, that kind of stuff. But yeah, as for voiceover stuff, uh, if you're into anywhere in what I do, I voice the protagonist in stuck in a yandere visual novel Help. Uh, uh, I'm now trying to figure out
So,
what
so, so,
did
so
I voice up.
let's talk about a little bit about your background before we get into some of your roles. So,
Alrighty.
obviously, I think you started in some musicals and plays in high school.
Yes.
And that's also interesting because a lot of voice actors that I speak to did theater
Hmm.
before they got into voice acting. And very few people were like, I'm going to go right into voice acting. Let's do it. Right. Like, and so what was that like? Because I think it's really interesting to understand. I think it's a misconception in the voice acting world in particular that it's still acting. Because I think
Hmm.
there's like I don't want to say a negative connotation with it, but I think people forget that you still need to act and present, a skill level even though
Hmm.
you're not seeing the person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And even though they're in voice acting, even though like it is an audio format where like you don't see the person, so how can you really call like see or hear the acting, I guess? It's more about inflection. It's and I think music is especially musicals are more intertwined with voice acting than people originally think because you in music you have to. It's words are hard for me. I apologize.
It's all right. It's all right. Take it. Much time as you need.
Music is just another way of expression, and the voice is another way of doing that. And that's why when most people like do casting or like especially for cartoons, animations, video games, they already have like a specific voice in mind. Even if you're like reading a book, you have a specific idea of what that person sounds like in your head based on how they're written, how they are described. And in the book sometimes I might even just say this guy has a very deep voice, and like maybe you're like, oh, I know what a deep voice sounds like, and so in your head you already hear it. It's and as for me, I'm going all over the place right now.
Because the reason why I bring up acting and plays and musicals is that I think people forget that that's where you cut your teeth. I mean, I'm not a voice actor. I'm not an actor. I did 2 plays in college for some extra credit because there was something called the 4th credit option, and it was cool. And it was Gilbert and Sullivan. It was related to political science, which is cool.
Nice.
And Gilbert and Sullivan's awesome. We did Shoot the Sorcerer, and can't think of the other one that we did. It was dealing with Barataria, which is always fun because there's all these political jokes in there.
Yeah.
Good. It's cool as a political science major to do something like that. But to digress out of that for a sec, though, is that I'm not trained in acting at all, and I don't want to voice act at all. It would ruin anime for me. It would ruin it for me. Anime is an escape, and it would ruin it for me. It would ruin it for me. Like me interviewing a voice actor does not ruin it for me, but I think I understand how hard it is. I understand how hard it is because I don't want to do it for a lot of reasons. I don't even know if I could do it, but even if I could, there's a choice where I don't think I would want to do it. But what is that like? Because I think that having that background of actually having on theater, being able to express visually along with audio and musicals and on stage, and then translating that over, and obviously you have a music background too, which probably helps translating that over into voice acting. What is that? Because I think it's easier if you have that training first.
It can be, but it really depends on it doesn't really depend. It does help. Theater training does help, but there's a lot of voice actors I know that like never had any like experience in acting at all. Never been in any sort of musical play or anything like that. A voice actor, Sam Slade, who's a lead in Zenless Zone Zero right now, which is a popular Hoyoverse game. She started out as a classically trained musician. She was a percussionist. That she'd never had any idea of what acting was. Like she didn't have an idea. She just wasn't interested in acting until later on down the line, where she discovered voiceover, and it's like, I'm interested in that. I want to try that. It's more of a thing of, even if you have like a little bit of an interest in it and you have like an idea of what like voice acting and acting can be, you can get into it. But with that experience of having musical theater and already in acting, it does help a lot because it's more about timing than anything. And especially when auditioning and self-directing, already having some of that experience is very helpful, but sometimes also a little damaging because if my personal acting thing, like that I found I'm a little too cartoony sometimes. I've obviously been if you couldn't tell by the way that I move my hands and carry myself, I'm very oriented with cartoons. And even before I did any sort of acting, when I was younger, I would just sit in front of the TV and like watch like Pokemon or like Blue's Clues or something like that. And then I would I don't know like what like 3-year-old me was doing, but I would memorize that entire episode and then remember and like play it, speak it back out and like act it out. It was I just remember that I don't know what he was thinking or what he was doing. It was just inherently I was acting already in a way. I was mimicking, obviously. I was doing impressions and things like that, but it was just like that. Even I don't know what else to talk about from there. It's just
No. It's interesting because, again, I mean, the only thing that I have related to voice acting is this show. And when you do 900 episodes of a podcast, you get an idea of when people sound really good, when they sound bad, when they know how to speak on a show. And there's been plenty of people that ask me for an interview, and then I look at what they've done before, and I'm like, "You're a horrible, boring guest," and it makes me sound like an asshole when I say it. But I'm like, this is not going to equate well where you're too stiff. And we all start out stiff. If people listen to my first 50 episodes of my other show before all this, starting almost 10, 11 years ago, I was stiff in the first 50. And they are being re-released. So that'll be really interesting. Great content, great interviews, really stiff interviewer. I was.
It's just a thing of practice. Like, no matter what, like, the first few times you're gonna, like, I can say it, the first few times I did voice acting, I kind of sucked at it, and that is okay. You're allowed to suck at things, especially at first. That's how I pretty much look at anything if I'm first starting out at something. Like, especially something I've never done before, no matter how closely related it is to something else. I admit to myself, it's like the first thing that I make or do is going to most definitely suck. But the next time I try to do something, that is 100% going to be better than the last time.
I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he's an art teacher in a school. And what he was saying is that, you know, I've been doing art for 30 years with some of my students, and then within, you know, they're drawing for 10 minutes and they crumple up the paper and they're all upset, but this is their first time. And it's like, you've been doing this for 10 minutes. You got to relax.
Yeah. You know? No one comes into the world being able to draw fucking Picasso. No one's able to do that. No one can do that.
But I agree. But I do want to dive into some of your roles, because that's the fun stuff, because you are still new and you've done a bunch of stuff. I think you've done a bunch of video game stuff, and you've done some anime / ADR / some independent anime projects.
Yes.
But the video game stuff is interesting.
Yes.
Because I know you were Charlie the 13th, I want to say. Is it 13? Because I always get messed up with the X's.
Charlie 13th. That isn't very much more of a video game more than it is a roller coaster. That is I'm voicing one of the animatronics on a roller coaster that is being made in California.
It's still close enough.
Yeah, close enough. It's interactive. That's what I call it. It's an interactive role.
Fair enough. It's interactive. I stand corrected. And I think he's like a rat mage, right? Like
Charlie is, from what it was described to me and from art I've seen from the production company and from the creator, he is a demon, sort of like he's based off of like skeleton, like obviously skeletal beings, but also like he's very much based off of like Grim Reaper-esque stuff, and like he just kind of is always up here. He only laughs. Like he pretty much laughs and says 1 or 2 syllable words. That is all he knows. And all he knows is like pretty much, I'm hungry, I'm angry, I'm gonna kill this guy right here because I want to. And like literally, like, even though I can do those higher, like obviously my voice is very lower pitched and like things like that, but I'm very energetic and always up here for some reason. I'm cast as paths because it's fun. And like literally, I remember during the end of that session that I did for the roller coaster, I was paid, of course, because God, I needed to be paid for that. um, I actually had to like I started coughing up a little blood a little bit, and I had to be like, all right, we need to stop. We'll do this another. Let's continue another day because if we continue on, I'm gonna lose my voice. And I had to like I stopped speaking for like a few days because I needed my voice to recover. But it was still so much fun. I would do that role again in a heartbeat if they asked me to come back.
So let's actually talk about this a little bit because obviously, I think that if the roller coaster is being developed,
Hmm.
they're gonna animate to your voice, right?
Yes.
Versus you doing lip flaps the
Hmm.
other way.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that it's easier when you're just doing straight audio and you don't have to worry about matching flaps.
Oh, it is so much easier. There are times where like I have done lip flaps and like things like that, and like I'm not like the best ADR in the world. Most ADR projects I have are that I've been given are for characters where their faces or their mouths aren't really on camera or aren't on or like the character doesn't have a mouth at all. Like for me, that helps a lot because while I'm still getting experience and like trying to figure out how ADR works, even though I know how it works, but it's while I get more experience, I can work up to doing lip flaps. And I have done lip flap stuff more recently.
Again, I am not in this space. I do not want to do this at all. It seems hard and it seems brutal, and
Oh, it
it
is
could be
hard.
it could be complicated. But to
Yes.
even go further into another role too, because this role I like a lot is I married a monster, you know, and you're Alexander, and this
Yes.
one's interesting. This one's interesting for a
Hmm.
lot of reasons. For a lot of
Yes.
reasons, um, I'm gonna say it the only way I know how to say it. I think it's very much a very open project. I'm picking my words carefully because I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to say here.
I believe in you. But
Um,
for Monster on a Hill, it is a visual novel being developed, but it's also a webtoon webcomic series currently being ongoing, and like uh it is very fruity. That is all I'm gonna say about it. It is very fruity. It is very all over the place. I love it so much. I love like both the creators are awesome. They continuously try to continue making new stuff and they constantly give updates, which I love, and they do their best. For Alexander specifically, he is a used to be villain, and so he used to be a really bad guy, but now he's just a ever since that he got married, he's now like trying to come more down into like the more normal standard normal life. So he still has his evil tendencies sometimes, but he has to be like, okay, that person that I used to be is now behind me and trying to move on to be a better person. It, which I found very interesting because I get to use more of my natural voice for him. He's much more lower, and like he's very theatric, and I enjoy voicing him.
let's talk about this a little bit though as well, because obviously webtoons are their
Mhm.
own beast, and I
Yes.
don't want to get into the economics of webtoons. That's like a 5 hour conversation
Oh
because
yes.
you could have 5 million downloads and make $5 on webtoons. It's insane.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But you could also have 5 million people, or you could have a lot of people because most webtoons I think are free to
Yeah.
read, and they tend to have big followings because people are like, oh man, I could have content for free, and then once you start building, I guess, subsequent projects or products outside of the webtoon, like a visual novel or an interactive game, you have a built-in audience, and I don't know how that affects you in acting and being part of a project, because even if you only get 10% converting into the visual novel off of the webtoon, and it reaches 50,000 people, that's 5,000 people
Mhm.
who are now hearing your voice. And they may not know it's you personally, but it's still 5,000 people who are now engaging with you in some fashion.
Mhm. For me, it doesn't really change like the way I act or like the way that I present the character because I guess like being able to record and like being separated like in front of a screen really helps. It's not like live theater where there's an audience in front of you and you get instant gratification or instant response. It's you don't really know what the audience's reactions are going to be until it is out. And as of right now, the role for Alexander is announced, but as of right now, no audio or a video of him has been released yet. And so I'm very interested to see how people will react towards Alexander because uh in the world of I Married a Monster on a Hill, it's there's a lot of theatric characters. There's a lot of different encompassing characters from different from not different genres, from different cultures, from different ideas, from different just points of life, walks of life. And so I feel like Alexander will fit right in, but but stick out kind of like a sore thumb, but will but as for like the relationship between me and the audience, as of right now, I really don't have one, I guess I could say, until the character like audio comes out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess where I was aiming with the question is that you don't know, but all of a sudden I'll use One Piece as an example.
Hmm.
You record One Piece, and then you're the voice. So I've interviewed Daniel Ba, who plays Jinbei,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden you're in a major arc, and then it's released, and now all of a sudden there's a demand for your Pop Funko to be made. Right? There's a
Hmm.
demand for people to want to have you at conventions. There's a demand for people to meet the voice actor.
Yeah.
And that's a very different position because you record it and it might not change the way you do something. But that's happened to me with I interview somebody and then 5 people ask me for an interview out of nowhere. And I'm like, why are you asking me? I don't think I'm at this level. And then goes, oh, dude, I want to be on your show now. Like, so it's one of those things where you do something and then something shifts in there.
Mhm.
And that's why I asked the question, but you don't know yet, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
I don't know yet. Nothing, at least for me as of right now, when this interview is happening, nothing has shifted for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, because it's complicated when you're dealing with a webtoon as well. That does
Yeah.
have a following, and I would imagine that I haven't read the webtoon at all, but
Hmm.
from what I know about it and my brief research on it, is that it does have a strong following and it has
Yes.
diehard fans,
Hmm.
and
And
that's what's complicated
yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes, but
Fuck it up. You could fuck it up, man. You
yeah.
really could.
Please, I hope I don't fuck it up. But I can say that the community is very, very nice, very welcoming. They love all the characters that end up getting released, and I found that a lot of even a lot of the voice actors who voice act in it are fans of the project. It really helps when the voice actors and the people who are a part of the project also really enjoy the project because you can see that just shine through in anything that happens.
No. It should be fun to see this one. It should be fun to see
Mhm.
this one, and it definitely should be interesting to see the reaction because
Mhm.
everybody has an idea of who's read this, how these characters should sound, but it's also a visual novel, which means that it
Yes.
is going to be slightly different
Yeah.
than the webtoon and figuring even that out. But I'm not going to push too hard on that with you,
Yeah.
because I do want to talk about magnetic bonds as well. Another one that's you play a lot of characters in
Yeah,
this.
that is actually that's so funny about Magnetic Bonds. When I first auditioned for Magnetic Bonds, it was for it was for two of the three main characters. And I didn't get any of them. And then the creator was just like, "Hey, I love your voice. You didn't get cast for this role, but I would love for you to voice this guy." And this guy being the imposter, which showed up in the very first chapter. And it was my casual, like just this voice. It was that voice that was like, I remember them listening, like, I listened to your demo reel. Please use, I want you to be this character. And that was actually my first paid role, which I was like, okay, maybe I could actually turn this into something that is actually viable for me to live with.
Let's actually talk about that. So
Mhm.
what is that like to get paid for something?
Oh, it feels so nice. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's all about the art. Yes, that the art is what fuels me. Hey man, sometimes at the end of the day, money is going to is a good inspiration for you to continue to do stuff. That is completely fine if you voice act, and if you're really good at it and you do it for money, I'm not going to judge you for it, because honestly, in this economy we all need some money. Let's be real, all right? I'm not going to lie to anyone.
Oh no, I like getting paid for what I do. I have live reads every once in a while. People
Mhm.
throw me a cash out every once in a while. People, obviously, I'm working towards super chats. Eventually,
Mhm.
that will come. As
Yeah.
I gain more and more subscribers on YouTube, so that's
Mhm.
always nice. So again, you need money to do things,
Mhm.
and it's complicated because very few voice actors make a pure living off of voice acting.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, I'm not going to mention names, but they do other things
Yeah, there are
outside of.
many other voice actors that not only do voice acting, they also do directing work. They also do audio engineering. They also do music on the side. Some of them work standard 9 to 5 jobs while still doing voice acting.
I know a prominent voice actor who is a school teacher,
Hmm.
and so he's a school teacher, and then fits in the voice acting in certain areas outside, and obviously he works in Texas for
Hmm.
Funimation / Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
and they have to work around his schedule.
Hmm.
And it is what it is, and it's just one of those scheduling things. And he's had some prominent roles. He's had probably about 200 roles
Yeah.
in voice acting, and I'm not going to say who it is, but he's been on my show.
Yeah.
You have a 1 in 10 shot of guessing it, guys. It's not in guessing it. It's
Guess
not
it
that
in chat right now. Guess it right now.
hard. But I mean, he said it on the interview. I'm just not going to out the person because I want people to actually watch the interviews to see
Yeah.
who it is. I
Yeah.
need the views. I need the
Yeah.
views.
No, support right now. If subscribe, like.
Watching is free.
Yeah, watching is free. That's good. You're just gonna gain more knowledge about stuff. So you have no reason not to watch.
No. But I think it's interesting because I know also plenty of people do like instructional videos, do
Mhm.
those corporate training videos, and because voice acting is a very, very tough position because you could be the second best, but you don't get the job.
Yeah, it's more of the fact that it's more from any time that I've been asked to cast, or if I'm casting for my own thing, it's more of the fact that, oh gosh, these 5 people are really good fits for the role. However, I just have to choose one of them. And at that point, it's just a nitpicky process. So I don't like how this inflection happens. And it sucks, but it's not that you aren't the best, or you didn't do a good job. At the end of the day, you need to pick someone, and for some one reason or another, you didn't get chosen for the role. And in my experience, and as from what I've talked with a lot of other people, you get rejected a lot more than you get accepted, and that is okay.
I'll use an analogy. In baseball, if you're hitting 300, you're doing great. That means that every 10 times you get up, you hit the ball and get on base 3 out of 10, which is
Yes.
horrible. It's horrible in
Yes.
reality.
That's 30%. That's 30% of the time. Like on a normal test, you would fail. But in real life, 3 out of 10 times, that's that's
Now
pretty good.
it gets more complicated. So I'm a big New York Mets fan. So Alvarez, who's the catcher, just smashes the ball. He smashes the ball every time he hits it. Sometimes it's a line drive. Sometimes it's a line drive fly out pop up. But if you keep smashing the ball like that, you are eventually going to hit home runs.
Yeah.
You are eventually, if you get up enough times, you're going to hit home run after home run after home run or a double, and you're going to get on base.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And so, again, if you're second best and you went on 50 auditions and you were number two, not number one, at a certain point, if you keep doing it, you're going to get a role or another role or another role. I would imagine, just statistically, unless you're going up against somebody who's just that much damn better than you, which could very well happen. But statistically, you're going to get roles.
Yeah, statistically, you're going to get roles. Honestly, it has a lot more to do with like relationships and like networking to getting roles. Sometimes like that's like not even a factor if you're looking for new talent. But when like sometimes like the roles I get is because, oh, this person recommended me for this role. This person knows me and has worked with me before. Oh, I'm going to get this person because I know that they can I know Patrick can do psychopaths really well. So let's get Patrick to do this psychopathic character. And then from there, it goes from there. And I work with more people, newer people, and it goes from there. But it's a difference to network and to like, you have to network genuinely, because if I network just for the sole person, it's like, oh, if I work with you, you're gonna refer me to other people.
See, it's interesting. I was having a debate with a friend of mine on a stream, and we were talking about buying a connection versus earning a connection. And there are advantages to both, but I forget there's this podcaster, and she like has like 1 million people on YouTube, and she got them through Mark Cuban and a bunch of other people, but she hasn't released an episode in a month, and she got connected to a podcast studio that helped her grow even bigger. But I said, let's see how long this lasts, because she bought connections, and then she said, oh man, you bought this person, and then a bunch of other people wanted to come on for free, but it wore out because there's no substance there.
Yeah.
Versus having a slow burn out. And so it's very interesting, because when you earn a connection and you earn a development, they tend to last longer than when you buy it. In my opinion, doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy connections every once in a while, but that's my experience at the very least. And I think it's a very complicated position.
Especially in like, at least for me, in the creative arts space, people want more of the genuine real connection than they do want a fake buy connection. People want to work with people, especially in a creative space where you are trying to touch human emotion. You want it to be real.
There was a shift. I don't know how much you follow Instagram, but Hot Topic 2-3 years ago shifted from going with big influencers down to cosplayers and having merch with them and a bunch of stuff. And those people who had like 15,000 Instagram followers, because the engagement rate was higher, and they ran a study and they did their own thing, and they started working with people who had less followers because the engagement rate was higher and the conversion of dollars was higher.
Yeah.
And we then look at some of the top cosplayers, and not to throw them under a bus, but their engagement rate is horrible. It's horrible. Now, I understand, and we'll mention the one, Jessica Nigeri, and I don't know her personally. I'm sure actually, that's not true. I don't know if she's a nice person. I don't know. So I don't know, in which I've heard great things about her, and I've heard horrible things about her. So from people that I trust who are in this space. So I've heard good and bad, but that her engagement rate is horrible. It's like 3% on Instagram. That doesn't excite me. That doesn't excite me. Now, you have 3.9 million followers on Instagram. So 3% of 3.9 is a lot of people, but it's still bad
Yeah,
It,
it's bad in comparison to like what the amount of people that are following you.
and so if I'm looking for an actual, I'll hire an influencer, theoretically, whatever her price is, it doesn't qualify because
Mhm.
I need 6 to 8%. And this is the problem is that, and then when I talk to sponsors, they're like, "Oh, your show's not big enough," but I'm like, "My engagement rate on my show is huge."
Mhm.
Like, and I'm like, "Do you want a higher engagement rate with 110 people, or do you want a 200,000 engagement rate that's 3% that you're going to be paying legitly 40,000 for?" I'm
Yeah.
$10.
You're $10. You're $10 and you're gonna get like a whole lot from that $10.
And it's such a complicated position, but it goes back to
Mhm.
this whole buy thing. And I'm just like, I'll be here for life. In 20 years from now, we'll have a conversation. And it's already started to shift, which I think
Mhm.
is interesting.
Mhm.
But that
For the hot topic thing, I think it's more interest. It is very interesting to like find they figured out that like okay, we need to find like the actual like niche of people that like not only like are going to continue buying our stuff and want to buy our stuff, but also find those people that are going to like the words are hard for me.
I trust a cosplayer who has 10,000 followers a little bit more than I trust somebody who has 4 million.
Hmm.
Because I think the person who has 10,000 followers is going to be more grounded and they're not as corrupted with making bank. And I'm a greedy capitalist. That's not. I'm very very interested in making a lot of money.
Hmm.
But I also try to run my business ethically, meaning that I price my products to the fair market. I'm
Hmm.
sorry that the fair market says a card is $100 when I bought it for 40 3 days ago, and
Hmm.
it's fair marketed out at 100. Like I can't. I have to be in the fair market.
Yeah.
If somebody offers me 95, I'm going to run away with 95. If I bought it
Okay.
for $40 because I want to make a profit quickly, but so I don't think that's unethical. But I also trust somebody who has 10,000 followers say this is the hottest Hot Topic t-shirt or Hot Topic in we're in a paid partnership and I'm wearing their thing talking about something, there you go. Like Waze shop did not pay me to wear this. I just want to wear their shirts.
Yeah.
If they want to pay me, I'll disclose that I was wearing their shirts before they paid me. And if they
Yeah.
want to throw me some money or they just want to give me a free shirt every once in a while, I'll be happy to wear their shirts all the time.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's fair. Like, I have nothing to add to that. That's just very fair. I have nothing to add to that.
I mean, Thanksgiving, their shirts are $15. So if they can save me $15, that means I can go buy a 6-pack.
Hey, any way to do it, that's the way to do it.
They should just send me a 6-pack. That's what they should really do.
Just send me the 6-pack and we'll be fine. It's fine.
I'll wear your shirts all the time. Just send me a 6-pack. Like once a quarter, I'll be great. It'll last me through the weekend. It'll be good. Kip Moore has a song called Beer Money. And it's an amazing song because it's ridiculous. And it's like it's such a great song.
Already hearing the name, I do not know it, but already hearing the name, I'm like, oh gosh. And this is a song I have to listen to at least once just to figure out what it's like.
It's just like classic country music. And it's great. There's nothing. He's just talking about finding some money for beer, and that's all the song is about. And it's amazing.
Hey, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
I think it's a funny song. I like the for it too.
I'm a fan of country music. Like, I know there are people out there who's like, oh, country music isn't that great. No, I love country music. I think it's awesome. It's so connected to so many. People don't realize how country music is connected to so many genres. They just refuse to look at it. Like, I can understand, like, and this is a little rant time.
Go right ahead.
I like country music, but I understand why people may not like country music because I can understand why, especially modern radio country music. It kind of sounds the same. I can understand that. But hey, it sounds good. You need just to accept and enjoy it instead of critiquing the heck out of it. Hey, sometimes I think hip hop and rap sounds the same sometimes, but I still respect and think that those genres are great. It doesn't matter. Just respect the genres and the fact that they're popular for a reason, and you listen to them for people listen to them for a reason.
I enjoy country music. I enjoy some rap. I enjoy some rap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Cardi B, I think some of her stuff's really good.
Mm-hmm. Cardi B is a good one.
I'm not a big Megan Thee Stallion.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not either, but I appreciate some of her songs.
I can't get into like her. Like it just doesn't work for me. And then but like you got Eminem there. Who else you have that's really good in rap right now?
If you can tell how much like little I do not follow those genres very well. If you couldn't tell. And I'm the music major in this room, and I do not have any idea.
But I like stuff like within Temptation, like synchronized like metal rock. Like I like that genre a lot. So I like and Nexus is good.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that is my wheelhouse because it's just it's sort of like a new age futuristic rock vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I like that stuff a lot.
Like,
but I digress. This is not. I couldn't tell you. I've never picked up an instrument. I was not the instrument guy.
Hey, you don't have to pick up an instrument to like or appreciate music. Like you can appreciate music and never seen an instrument in your life, and you can still just like music.
This is my relationship with music. Is that I used to live in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And so every Friday night I'd work in government. I would come home on the metro. I would stop because I lived in a neighborhood where I was 3 blocks away from the metro. Okay. So I would pass the liquor store, pick up a bottle. Then I would go grab my dinner at a place called Soul Spice.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that was right next to. So my apartment had like 3 restaurants beneath it. So then I picked that up. Then I would eat my thing, watch like 2 episodes of The Office. And then I would just listen to music while playing Overwatch.
That's the best.
Hammered.
Hey.
And then at 10 o'clock, I'd be nice and saucy, and I'd watch wrestling on Twitch.
Hey, listen. Any way that you enjoy music, there's no wrong way to. I'm of the opinion that there's no wrong way to enjoy anything. If you enjoy something this way, that's a correct way to enjoy it.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I listened to so much music while playing video games while getting hammered. And I was like 23, 24. Oh my God. It was amazing.
I don't get hammered because I just don't like the feeling of alcohol and like of that stuff. I don't like that feeling, so I just stay away from it. But good for you if you like it. I'm not gonna judge you if you like it or not.
Oh, I had such a good time. Then I'm just like tweeting at wrestlers.
just
tweeting back at me. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, you did so good, dude. Good job. I love you. It's like, oh, I love you too, dude.
It was great because I would purposely play the heel on Twitter. So
what's the heel on Twitter? I do not get it.
The heel's the bad guy in wrestling.
Oh, okay.
So I would interact with all of these good guys on and I'm like,
just be I'm gonna get you, brother. You are gonna get out of here.
Like, you were pinned, and like when he wasn't, and like now you have like this whole big thread going on between me and wrestlers, and this was like sometimes like 20 or 30 back, but it was crystal clear that everybody was playing a part, and then other people were watching, and it was amazing because these wrestlers, this was Impact, and this is kind of like the third company. So these wrestlers figured out, hey, we're gonna get a lot of attention to our brand if we interact with our fans. because also Impact was taped. So it's airing, but it was taped. So these wrestlers can respond in real time to the matches.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right? Because
Yeah, that is interesting.
now we're in a situation where you're getting instant feedback, but it's boosting up the viewership directly and
Mhm.
indirectly because now people are watching. And now they have me, and I have an Amazon Prime account, which means that they get a piece of that because Amazon owns Twitch.
Yeah.
And so now I'm a premium member, which I skip commercials and then I get a piece of that. And they know that, oh, it was great. It was absolutely amazing. But this is a big rant that has nothing to do with your career.
Yeah. We should let's end this rant right now, just before we go down deeper into this rabbit hole.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
I
good
wish I could
rant.
be 24, 25 again and just do that. But my body can't handle that. And Impact's not on Twitch anymore, so it
Yeah.
sucks.
I don't think anyone's body can handle that level anymore, just at all. I don't think anyone's body can.
I had like 3 shots or 4 shots on Thursday, and oh my god, I was down for the count. I got like 9 hours of sleep though.
Hey, it's better than 8.
But anyway, I do want to talk about some of the anime/ADR stuff you've done.
Yes.
So we got to talk about World Line Temporal Justice.
Yes.
That's the big one, right?
Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones that I've been a part of. It's a Algerian anime. It's an Algerian anime that's still in development. The first part of it released back in February of this year, I believe. Is that what the time? Yeah, that should have been it.
So what is this like? Because obviously, I mean, I think it's an anime or an anime-esque. It kind of falls into the Avatar rule, I guess, where it's considered. I would consider it an anime, but it's not an anime. If that makes sense.
Even though it is an anime, it didn't follow like what people consider anime. It's Japanese animation. The only way to really describe it is anime, because there's nothing like Japanese animation style. You can replicate Japanese anime style, but it's not really anime. It's I don't know how to describe it, but my experience with it is they gave me a script. They didn't really have like an animation stuff done. They had storyboards, obviously, but I would self-direct myself and would just record lines. There wasn't any animation or anything for me to dub to. In fact, I think like as of right now, the only language that is in that World Line Temporal Justice right now is just English, because they decided that they made the choice to make it in English first, because they could get more attention and more viewers, because English is one of the most spoken languages in the entire world.
It's that and Mandarin.
Yeah, that and Mandarin. And so they decided, like, let's do it in English. And then I'm assuming that they're going to be doing dubs if they decide to do that at all. I think they're right now just trying to focus on finishing up the animation stuff, because I think it's almost done, but I'm not sure when other release dates for it, because the first part of it was just like a test to be like, all right, we want to get viewer feedback. Let's see what we can improve upon, and then we'll release the entire thing all in one once we get that feedback and improve.
Now, that's interesting. Again, I don't know too much about this project beyond the fact that you're in it. I'm the first one to say that, but it's interesting that a company is choosing to release in English first,
Hmm.
but it's also, I mean, they're obviously targeting America
Yeah.
and other, I guess the G5 countries, which
Hmm.
is America, Britain, France, Germany. Um, I would say Russia is also, I think, in the G5, but that's not the point here.
Yeah.
Um, that's a dirty word in a lot of ways. For not to get too political, but there's a good reason why that's a dirty word.
Yeah,
Um,
there's as of right now, at least.
at least,
Hmm.
we're not in good relationships with Russia. It is the point.
Yeah.
But we will be exchanging prisoners with them soon enough. So anyway, um,
But base the whole thing of Worldline is like it's very time travel and like Back to the Future inspired. Like you can kind of tell that because there's lots of talk about time travel and about the space-time continuum and about the scientific and like the actual science that would be
is it like
in
Steins Gate?
uh, a little bit, not really though. It's like it's kind of like Steins Gate, but like more based in fiction, not based in fiction, based in reality, more like that.
What do you mean Steins Gate is based on a true story?
It's based on a true story. I don't know what he's talking about.
I got into episode 7 and then I couldn't take Steins Gate anymore. I couldn't take it. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is just way too trippy.
Hey, I played the visual novel. It's fine.
It's a trippy freaking anime.
It's really trippy, and if like honestly, if you're not down to being tripped out and like watching that stuff, then that's completely fine. You like watch it up to the point where like you're just like I don't think I can handle this anymore. That's completely fine. You gave it a try. That's all we can ask you to do.
It was very trippy and it was wild. It was almost like Dead Leaves. That was crazy. Dead Leaves was a crazy one. That was 45 minutes though. Just like, what the fuck did I just watch?
I don't think I've watched Dead Leaves. I
Have you
don't think
seen
I have.
Gurren Lagann?
Hmm?
Have you seen Gurren Lagann?
Yes, I have.
So Dead Leaves was before Gurren Lagann by the same director.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
So that's why if you're a fan of Gurren Lagann, the stuff that was done in Dead Leaves is really similar and it's like a predecessor, but it's not related to Gurren Lagann. It's just like
Yeah.
all the geometric stuff in there and all like the bigger, better thing and a bunch of other stuff. It's that. So
Okay.
if you're a fan of that style and that director, oh, it's great. But
Cool.
what is this like though? Because obviously, I mean, this is an anime-esque project and it's a big project.
I'm honestly honored that I would be considered for that project because that was actually one of the first roles I've gotten. It was like I think my third original role that I got. Like besides just doing like fan projects and getting experience and stuff. It was to be considered for that. And I remember auditioning for that in my bedroom using what I would now consider to be a crappy mic, but it's the best I could do at that point in time. And just auditioning, sending an email out, and then just being like them sending me an email back being like, you have this role. Congratulations. It's honestly like a big, like happy feeling that I would be considered to even be considered for the project. It's an honored thing. An honor thing, but to actually be in it, it makes me so happy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Again, I don't know what that's like because I am not in this space, but I am always ecstatic when someone's like, "Yeah, I'll be on your show." It's always
Yeah,
a
it's a very it's a very similar feeling to that, but where like you send something out, not really. I'm of the audition mindset of send and forget, because if you send it and then keep on hyper fixating on that and just being like, I have to get this role, I have to get this role, I have to get this role, you're gonna make yourself go crazy. So just sending, not really not expecting anything from it, and just being like, yeah, I'm happy with what I sent in. If I don't receive anything back, cool. If I receive something back, cool. But that feeling you get when you do get something back, where you get like an email back, like from them, or for you send out an email being like, hey, do you want to be on my show? It's that exact same feeling. You're just like, oh yay! Like you get so excited. Obviously, a little bit more than that, obviously, but like,
Yeah, no. For me, it's when you reach out to a big person, like, yeah, I would love to come on your show, right?
mhm,
And then it's nice sometimes when somebody asks you to be in something, but then you also say, like, there's other things where I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to interview you. And then, like, you have to be very diplomatic.
mhm.
So,
Always do research on people. Always do research, like especially if someone's reaching out for you. At least for me, I always try to do at least a little bit of research, not only about the project, but also about the person, just to
so
make sure that like I don't get into anything. Like
it's tricky. So obviously there is no exchange of money
yeah.
when with interviews with me. But
Hmm.
I also look at how somebody's dialect is. I look at their followers. I look at a lot of stuff. I mean, it's complicated. And I also look at, have I interviewed you in the past and have you really brought me anything? Has there been anything reciprocal to me?
Yeah.
Because if somebody's running a massive campaign of 50,000 and like you want a relationship with me, you could send me your book. And so now what's starting to happen in my world is that there has to be something with a transaction as far as, great, you're reaching out to me.
Hmm.
So are you going to send me a digital copy of your book, for instance?
Hmm.
Because that doesn't cost you anything. If you can't send me a digital copy of your book, which is the bare minimum, for two reasons. A, it's a nice little thank you that's relatively free for you. And B, don't you want me to have a copy of your book before I interview you? So that I can actually understand what we're doing here and I don't
Yeah.
have to push money, put off thoughts and make assumptions off of a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But then again, I also look at what people bring to the table
Yeah.
because I hate to say this, but there are people who can bring other things to the table. I can go and get, a voice actor. I've had Brian Donovan who plays Rock Lee on my
Hmm.
show. I can go reach out to that, or do I want to interview somebody who is a brand new comic creator who may or may not fund on their project?
Hmm.
And those decisions have to be made. And sometimes it's good to interview a brand new person,
Yeah.
but I also have to look at this and say, are you what? I don't know what you're aiming at.
I'm just like, hello, I am I am new person.
But it's also saying, is this idea that they're presenting
Hmm.
even up to speed, or somebody has a brand new thing and I've never seen anything like it. Like somebody has a book that they're from Hawaii and
Hmm.
I interviewed them, they're brand new, and it was definitely dealing with cultural stuff and a superhero based off of a cultural thing in Hawaii.
Hmm.
I didn't have that on my show. So that brought value. And I think it's
Yeah.
very interesting when
Mhm.
we dive into when people reach out to you.
Yeah.
Because nobody's reaching out to me who can go find and be on shows that have 50,000 viewership
Mhm.
every week. I'm asked after they've got rejected from the most part on 10 shows.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing because I'm like, your product's interesting, but I wasn't asked first.
Mhm.
It's tricky, right?
Mhm.
Think about it for you. So let's say that a project approached you and you knew they asked 10 people before you. You would
Okay.
you would be like, okay, why did the other 10 people not work out?
Yeah, I always like I always try to like
You don't have to answer that question. I'm letting you know. You can flip
okay.
the script.
Um that's sometimes not always the case where like I do ask the question is like if there was 10 other people, why did they say no? It could be that they just just didn't work out. Like something went on behind the scenes that like we just like maybe those actors or some like team member did something and that person left the project for unknown reasons. But more often than not, those 10 people left because the person that keeps on asking, probably not a good person. Like, at least that is just my experience and what others experience with as well. But one thing about VO Twitter is that we're like, it's very good at like making sure that like, hey, be wary of these people because they might not be great people to work with.
It's not that hard to figure out who's a good person, who's a bad person.
Yeah. It
And
goes back to like what we were talking about relationships. You can tell who is in it just for a fake relationship, doing it to push something, like trying to gain something for themselves, and who's trying to do something to be genuine. You can tell the difference.
I can tell who's an asshole in comics right
Yeah,
now.
you can tell.
And everybody else can as well. And
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, I love this, and I love indie comics, I love this," and I'm like, "But you're kind of an asshole
Mhm.
because it's crystal clear to me, and the only reason why people are still hanging around you is that you do provide, to some degree, a paycheck,
Mhm.
and you do provide an element of clout, but you're not providing anything beyond that, where you're not liked."
Mhm.
And you could
Yeah, you can tell not pretty much immediately, but after like a certain point, especially at the very beginning, you can tell what someone's like agenda is. You can kind of tell what they're about.
but nobody will admit it.
Yeah, no one will admit it, but you in your own like, even if you have like a kind of an iffy feeling, ask the person about it, and like if they don't say anything about it or if they come clean, you know exactly what you're dealing with.
I'm starting to call things out.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've said, if you ask me about a person, I'll tell you what I think, and
Mhm.
if they're on that stream, I'll tell you what I think.
Mhm.
And I've said things very publicly, and it has somewhat fractured relationships, but I don't really care because I don't think that those people, where somebody said it to me, that no guest is bigger than the show.
Mhm.
And at this point, if it's somewhat true, then I should not shy away from truths. So if somebody, I'll give an example. If somebody's late on their book in Kickstarter land, because that's
Mhm.
my space more, and they're late by 2 years, and I say they're late by 2 years, that's irresponsible. And in any other sector, we wouldn't tolerate this. Why are we tolerating it here? There must be something wrong with their company
Mhm.
in what they're doing. And I'll mention whoever it is. And if they get upset about that, I'm like, I'm sorry that you're upset about it, but you're also 2 years late.
Mhm.
So,
Like
like,
to like it's okay to say like that's not like an opinion. That's not anything. That's just a fact. You're 2 years late on something. I'm just making inferences on like what could possibly be that the reason why.
I take Achman's razor. If you're late on a project, there's something wrong with your management of that project.
Mhm.
Now, no. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that there's something wrong with management.
Yeah.
It could
I
be that your artist was sick or your artist ran out of the money and you're out of money, but that means you mismanaged it regardless.
Mhm.
But again, this is a whole rat hole. But again, it's interesting
Yes.
because I don't know. I mean, let me put it this way: on my show, I know how to eliminate bad actors.
Mhm.
I need to deal with a person once, maybe twice, if I didn't catch it the first time, and then you systematically eliminate bad actors. But you're still Stevie Richards, who's a wrestler, said it. You're going to get screwed in life.
Mhm.
The question is that how much do you want to get screwed over?
Mhm.
Is it 90 or is it 10? You're going to get screwed.
Mhm.
It's how comfortable with the screw are you? And,
That is
and
very fair.
and a lot of people, when I put that up on my Facebook wall, were like, "Oh, I get what you're saying and where you're going with this."
Mhm.
I digress. We should get to a more fun position. Talk about Doro Bear.
Oh, Doro Bear.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, Doro Bear is Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute and wholesome. Is
I
ah,
can imagine.
it's so cute and wholesome. I only got to do one thing, and I played. It was for like a during a this specific animation that I did ADR for was for a COVID pandemic related thing, whereas like, hey, I played a male guest where I was like, hey, I want to, can you deliver this box, which I assume had a wedding ring in it? Can you deliver this box to my girlfriend? I haven't seen her in a while because she's a nurse. And so Dorobell is like, why don't you give it to her herself? And like, it's this whole thing of, yes, it's going to take a while before you get to see this person again, but it's well worth the wait because health is very important. But just know if this person loves and appreciates you so much, and it will be okay. And I just enjoy that. Like the entire thing of Dorobear is to like be aware of yourself, be aware of others, love yourself, love others, and like try your best to be the best person you can be. Like, but it's not putting others, not only just don't put others once over yourself because you are very important. It was very nice. Like, and I don't know. That's the first ADR thing I've ever done, and I've like there was no lip flaps to to ADR to, so I basically had to just fill up the space where the I believe it's a Chinese company, so where the Chinese dialogue for my character was. I had to fill it in there. But but honestly, it was a good experience. I enjoyed it a lot, and yeah, it was fun to do. It was also really wholesome to watch.
Unlike the final Ashfield.
Oh no, that's the if Doro Bear was like if we had two ends of the spectrum, Doro Bear is right here in like wholesome land. Final Ashfield, oh boy.
That's a messed up show, man. That's a messed up position. I lost you.
Where'd my camera go? Oh, back. Where'd the camera go? There it is. It is a Final Ashfield is a very tough position for, especially the character I play, Jasender, who is he's barely in his teens. He's like 10, I think. And oh, if you watch that teaser trailer, oh no. I had to show it to one of my friends. Like I was gonna show it to one of my friends, but because of how graphic it is, I'd be like, I'm not gonna show this to you, especially since we're at dinner. I'm not gonna show this to you.
I mean, I've seen a few images, and like it's a pretty intense show.
Oh, it's very intense. I read the pilot script for it. Like it's still being rewritten and like going through like things like that. But like it's pretty the script is pretty finalized. It's just different things, but I read it and damn, it gets so fucking intense. It gets really intense.
Because I'm a little confused. Are you? Because I thought you were young,
Yes, young Jason.
not the older one, right?
Yes,
Not
that
the more mature. So it's like because there's like probably some flashback stuff in there, right?
I believe the whole first. I don't know how much I can say, but the basically the whole first pilot like happens in the past. So I'm voicing pretty much the young Jay Sender. I am voicing, and from there, after the first episode or the first pilot, I'm voicing basically flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get in trouble for that. I don't think anybody is too concerned with that because it's not giving away too much.
Yeah, it's not
It's
giving
really
away
not.
too much. Yeah. It's basically the pilot basically just sets up the story of what the rest is going to be like.
And there's that in play, and then obviously, I mean, there's some other stuff that you've been in as well. The Son of Satan as a doll, but we don't have to
Yeah.
talk about that. You're also in the Outcast as the Scarlet Samurai, which just sounds like a
Yeah.
fucking awesome show.
Oh,
Like,
like if you go on YouTube, it's free to watch on YouTube. If you search up the Outcasts, basically the whole thing of the Scarlet Samurai, he's related to one of the main characters, like as like they used to be best friends. They used to be under the same like teacher, like under the same teacher, but he blames the main character for leaving, and he thinks that the main character is the problem and everything like that. He's very intense, very inspired by, like, obviously he's a samurai, very inspired by for me, like, have you watched for me, voice wise, I watched the main villain in Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
yeah. Shredder, right?
Yeah, Shredder. Yeah. Like I got like, in fact, Zach, the creator of that of the Outcast, specifically asked me to do like can you do like a Shredder from Ninja Turtles sort of thing? And I'm like, I got you. I know exactly what to do. Don't worry. And I think it was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. And honestly, anytime someone asks me to voice an indie animation for any reason, like especially if it's indie, like I'm down for it. Like I'm always down to voice pretty much anything within reason. Yeah.
No. It's so interesting, and again, it just seems like an awesome show.
It's
You
really
got a
fun.
character called the Scarlet Samurai.
Yeah.
I could write a whole freaking comic series on that alone.
Oh,
just
yeah.
based off the name.
It's so fun.
Again, I'm not in this space. It would ruin if I was a voice actor. It would ruin anime for me.
And hey, that's completely okay. You don't have to get into a certain space.
I like how
in
you're
order to
reassuring
enjoy
me.
it.
I like that. Like,
No, you're a-okay. Like, if you don't want to be, I encourage people, like, if you're slightly interested in it, you should go into it and try it. But if you think that will ruin something for you, if like you don't want to get into it, that's fine. I don't have to. You're okay. Hey, it's okay.
I am perfectly fine.
Yes.
Legitimately just interviewing voice actors because I get to live the dream vicariously. Without having to do any of the work. Without having to do any of the work, I get to enjoy this, and I get to be a fan of something.
Yes.
And that's what I like.
And sometimes being a fan is honestly more fun than being in the project. And I can't say it's always the case, but I remember my earliest memories is just being a huge fan of stuff and just that inspiring me and like wanting to make stuff and things like that. And that is completely okay. Like you don't have to get into a certain thing in order to enjoy it.
No. My favorite thing ever in my life that I've ever done is I was writing about anime. And it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed intellectually writing about anime. Where I would be breaking down animes and I'd be like, okay, this is what they did in episode 1 here. And then I'd be doing video stuff. Like I have spent like when Attack on Titan was red hot, I broke down every single episode, like legitly like for an hour. And I had such a good time doing it because we were like, oh, dude, this is really interesting that you have watched the episode. Then I rewatched the episode. And then what happened is that it was great. So, and people are like, oh, this is cool. So
that comes from just pure enjoyment and being a fan of something. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
I know. And even if there was, I wouldn't care.
Yeah. Even if the fact that you're enjoying it, that is enough.
So I know you've been in a bunch of other stuff. I'm just gonna mention some. Um, you were in Kai, Jack, Eddie, and Mikey as Jack Wilson. You were in Tales of Enola as William Goat. You were in Life Against the Divine, I believe. Lovers
That
in
one's still currently being made, actually.
Lovers in Crime. You were in as Charlie
Mhm.
Harris. Um, and it's been a few others, but I don't want to break some of that down because it's been for a while. But I do want to back out of your roles, and I am curious where you think voice acting is going and where anime is going and this whole space is going. Because, and I think I asked Beth this question too, is that a lot's changed due to
Oh,
COVID, both good and bad. I think a lot's changed in the space when Sony bought Funimation for 100 million and they bought Crunchyroll for 1.2 billion, give or take. There's a big shift in anime now being institutional. I can't speak. Sorry,
no, you're
institutional.
okay.
There's a big shift in institutionalization. HD Live was also bought by a publicly traded company, and then Rooster Teeth and WBD is doing something weird with Rooster Teeth, which is I don't even know how to explain that and what the hell's going on with that. But how do you feel about all this? Because there's been a shift that wasn't in play 2 years ago. I feel.
Yeah. It's hard to say what like I feel like hasn't already been said about a lot of this stuff.
So why?
So say what's already been said. But when COVID first hit, we were like all like it was like, what do? We can't have people come on in. So that really sparked like the boom of like remote recording and like everything like that. And I think it was great because it gave a lot of people who didn't have the opportunity to be in a lot more things to be in those things, especially more popular and more, I guess, industry standard things like more cartoons and like be on Cartoon Network or be in more anime like Crunchyroll and Funimation and things like that. But at a certain point when COVID started dying down, started coming down from the pandemic, people were ready to like be back in studio and only be back in studio and cut off the remote recording. And that just always felt off to me. Like, especially for a lot of people, just especially there are so many people, especially talented voice actors who have done remote things for many years now. All of a sudden we're cut off from doing what is now in studio work, especially in anime and in stuff like that. Like the anime is usually done in like Las Vegas or Texas or something like that. No, Las Vegas. In California or Texas. That's all that. But remote record people who lived in Australia or New Zealand, there are plenty of talented voice actors over there, but now they're cut off from doing that stuff because of sticking to just in studio work. But most recently, like what's the name of that deer anime? I'm losing.
Deer King?
Not Deer King. It's Nico Dare something. But it's like a slice of life comedy deer anime that was all done with a remote cast, and especially recently that blew people's minds, and like it's really starting to like shake the industry a little bit of the fact that yes, anime can be dubbed and recorded all from with remote talent. The entire cast of that show was remote talent. Some of them may have shared like a few cities and like things like that, but all of them was completely remote. And I think that really opens up the opportunities. Like Right now, I'm living in my apartment at my university. I record in a closet. I could do that if someone gave me the opportunity or the chance to do that. And heck, someone who like records high quality stuff underneath their bed could record in an anime if they are given the opportunity to do so. And I think that is amazing, and that should be try to be the standard of doing try to do remote talent. You should do in studio stuff if you feel like you are inclined to, but make room for the remote talent to have a chance and to have a seat at that table.
No, it's interesting. Again, I'm a big fan of remote. I like it. I work 4 days from home in my regular job.
Mm-hmm.
I go in on Mondays and it sucks because it's a 13-hour day.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. If you tell me like it's like, hey Patrick, can you're going in studio today to record stuff, I'm gonna be ecstatic. That's awesome. But if you can't make it work, especially like I live in Virginia, if like you have like a project that's working out in California, unless you want to fly me out to California, which plane tickets are expensive, that's probably not going to work. But if you really want me, use remote. Like I have a booth in there, I have a microphone. Like you cast me because you wanted me. You should try to make it work in any way you can, especially with the internet.
Again, my whole thing is that I've
I mean,
always
look at this. Like,
doing-
literally, this interview is happening because, like, over the internet, especially with the internet. It is so easy to be able to do this.
I was doing pre-recorded through Skype, and I was hitting the world, and then this allows me to hit the world on StreamYard, and it's amazing because it's great, and I would love to do something like Joe Rogan or something like the Young Turks when they do something, or the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro show. He does something on Sundays in person. That's great. In person's awesome. But if I want to do 4 or 5 interviews a week, there's no way I could do it in person, right? Like Joe, I would love to have people come into my studio and fly into Texas or wherever I'm at and do my show with them in person, because there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So like, but I can interview somebody from Australia or from California, or you're in Virginia. I don't know. I think Beth is in somewhere in the Midwest, right? Or or I don't know. I think so. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm gonna be very honest. I don't know. I don't know where Beth is.
But I interviewed somebody like 3 weeks ago from Michigan, right? So like, I'm not gonna go fucking drive up to Michigan.
Or make them come down to wherever you are to figure out like what that would look like. Like with the internet and like with things being remote, there is so much opportunity and so much more things that can be done. And not to like denounce in studio stuff or in person stuff, because that stuff is awesome and can be done. And honestly, sometimes that's preferable, but you shouldn't ignore the remote stuff. You shouldn't ignore that stuff and just you shouldn't just say no to all remote stuff, because that's just limiting your options.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, honestly, you might not like my theory, but if you have more options, that means that you can get better talent to some degree. But also, and I hate to say this, but when you have 50 options versus 10, it does become cheaper to build things and make things happen. It does. And whether that's good or bad, that's just the reality of it. Because when and it goes back to interview, when I have 500 people want to be on my show, I can be very selective, or I could say, look, do you want on my show? Like, it's going to cost you $50 to get on my show, because I have 500 options, and why should I pick you over somebody else? And you'd be surprised. People need interviews. You'd be surprised.
Hmm.
Right now I don't have that, but I've had points where I've said to people like, "Why should I be on my show? I have 500 options," and people are like, "What do you mean?" And they couldn't fathom the understanding that you're. I have so much choice that like you got to bring something else to the table. So, but no, I
Yeah.
don't disagree. I don't disagree. But I am curious, where do you think pop culture is going?
Pop
Because that's
culture? Oh, dang. Oh, all of pop culture? I don't know if I can predict that, man.
I'll
uh,
tell you my thoughts, right? I
yeah.
think the first time what's happened is that people used to buy a nice piece of art, right?
Mm.
That you'd hang up in your house. Now what they're buying is a nice piece of a Star Wars limited poster. So you used to buy, what is it, the farmer and his wife? Like
Hmm.
that used to be kind of the cultural icon, right? You know the image I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know the exact image you're talking about. Yes.
So now instead of that, you have Han Solo and Princess Leia
Yeah.
instead.
Like literally like poster stuff that's in my room right now. Like literally stuff like this.
So that's what I mean. That's where I think it is, because I think there's been a shift now where that's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious what you think, because it's cool to have a poster of, or an expensive poster of like Naruto, or
Mm-hmm.
like I forget what it is, but there's I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad at product lines, but
No, I get you.
expensive statues are now acceptable to display.
Yeah. I've- I think I actually saw a study of this, like not a study, but like an actual like video being like the way that we talk in like video games is now starting to bleed into like the way that people talk, like kind of like with chess terms are starting to become more normalized in life now. Life like terms from
Pawn
video
to
games. Hmm?
E5. Pawn to E5.
Yeah, but like the video game terms are starting to become more normalized in the way, because it's a way that generation, like a generation of people who grew up on video games and enjoy video games, it's just like the same way chess did when it first got started, and then like slowly bled into our culture, into like the way that we speak. I think it's gonna start, pop culture in general, I think is gonna start leaning more towards into like the nerd, like even though pop culture in general like is socially considered nerdy, I think it's gonna really just head more deep into that, and like become like a thing where like pop culture is gonna become a little more normalized and not looked down upon
So
like on other what other
I
people
can
think.
tell you what would so I was never shoved into a locker
Mhm.
in high school, but I was like an anime guy. I was wearing anime t-shirts, and I didn't really care. I
Mhm.
was doing my own thing. I'm sure people thought I was weird. I'm sure of it, right? But I was smart, and but I like it. I was reading a lot of manga. I was into like Magic the Gathering, all sorts of cool
Mhm.
shit,
Oh
right?
yeah. No, I
And
get you.
all that stuff now is worth money.
Yeah.
And
All
all
that
that
stuff is
stuff,
worth money.
and I have all this stuff, and I've sold some of it because it was time to move on from it, and I made a lot of money on it.
Mhm.
But I also have a lot of that stuff still for me. And it's like people want, my Pokemon cards now. And I'm like, but I want them too. And so it's really, really interesting when this has now occurred, where it's, oh, you're into Naruto, you're into Attack on Titan, so am I.
Mhm.
And like it's interesting. And then like even just like sports cars and everything, and it's wild. And I mean, my eBay business is built on the back end of baseball, basketball, the WNBA,
Yeah.
and then comic books and pop culture. And when pop culture and comic books aren't working and they're in a hiatus, cards work. And when cards don't work, comic books do.
Yeah.
Because people want this cool shit from 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
And so I think that there's been democratization, but I'm also very concerned because it is so scattered.
Mhm. Uh,
because we.
hmm.
What were we gonna say?
I don't know, like if it's really scattered. Like it's a thing of more is just like stuff comes and goes. Like I guess it's like really depends on when like stuff is popular, especially with like the surge of so many new things coming out, especially at this day and age. Like things become popular very quickly, but then fall out of popularity very quickly. And it it's like not really scattered, so to say. It's just very
Wait.
random.
The reason why I say it's scattered is that right now, technically, Disney is pop culture. So
Yeah.
you could have Star Wars. You have your Star Wars bros, right?
Hmm.
Then you have your anime group. Then you got your Batman and comic group. Then you got your indie comic group. Then you got your wrestling group. And then it goes further. Then you got your Star Trek group, right? You got your Game of Thrones crew.
Hmm.
And like all of a sudden, like, and then you got some other stuff in there. And we look at Comic Cons and they're a mess because of
Hmm.
this. And so that's why I say it's scattered. And I don't know how much further this could all be pushed out. It's kind of like the Big Bang, right?
Hmm. Okay, I
It's
get you.
still in motion here, and there has to get a point where it's like it's got to contract a little bit. It's got to come back a little bit.
I think like it is coming back in the sense of like people are dipping into multiple things and becoming fans in multiple genres and multiple things. And like you have a wrestling fan that's also a big anime fan.
That is true. That
Like
is true.
I feel like that's going to become like more in the future of pop culture. That is going to become more of the norm because as of right now, like
It's the
I
whole
le-
premise for my show, right?
yeah, exactly. Like that's going to
All
become more the norm.
the reason is that you have your wrestling group, right? So
Hmm.
there's going to be people watch this show and watch things on my channel just for wrestling, and they don't want to touch anything else. That's fine. But then let's say that I get 10,000 views.
Hmm.
8,000 of them might only stay in wrestling, but the 2,000 then might jump into an anime position, right?
Yeah.
And then there's people who only watch the voice acting stuff, and another 2,000 then might watch the wrestling stuff. So now I have crossover where those are what you call
Mhm.
super fans.
Yes.
And
That
so what you want to do is that there's a reason why I want to cast my net the way I want to cast it is because I'm trying to develop those super fans.
mhm. There's
Because
always going to be there's going to be more normalized to be able to be like I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this. I'm able like you don't have to just be a fan of one thing anymore. In order to especially to like fit in, I feel like fitting in is going to become like a less of a worry for pop culture. You can just kind of do what you like. You can like what you like. At least that's a hope for me. I don't know if that's going to be the future, but that's a hope.
you see 21 Jump Street with
I have.
that's what it was. In which they both went to high school, and it was completely the opposite. And then, like, it's all like environmentalism, and it's all this stuff, complete 180. And then it's like it's cool to be in the drama, and,
Mhm.
and I understand that it's not exactly accurate, but it was really funny how it.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand. There's a lot of similarities there.
And that's what it's like right now in pop culture, where it's like you go into a high school and you're not going to be shoved into a locker when 20 years ago you would have been
Mhm.
for being like I'm a Star Wars guy. Well, here you go, here's your new home, man. Shoved right into a
Here's your
locker.
home.
And that's like, dude, you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars. That's what it's like now.
Yeah, no, that's what it's like. Like Star Wars is definitely the easy example. Like, but like especially like for like anime, especially anime has become very much more welcome in the pop culture space.
I mean, within reason, something like One Piece, Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
Bleach, Naruto, Sailor Moon. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're a guy in Sailor Moon, it's a little bit harder. But if you're a girl, Sailor
Yeah,
Moon
no.
is the go-to, right?
Yeah. It's hard. It's gonna be hard to like especially like niche anime. It's gonna be hard to find your group in there. But like if you just say anime in general, there are definitely people that love anime. like you
My
said,
My
Naruto,
Hero,
Dragon Ball, My
My
Hero.
Hero is so like there's about 15 animes that are general. Like Full
Mhm.
Metal Alchemist
Oh
is not
yeah,
my niche. But you go into something like Spice and Wolf, which is beautiful, that's going to be a harder sale.
yeah, that's gonna be a harder sale. There's a lot of those animes where like oh man, this is beautiful. It's a heart touching story. It made me cry, but it's not a big anime a shonen. It's not a big shonen anime, so therefore it's not gonna be
The, the high
considered
school
a big anime.
the
Yeah.
high school quarterback might be into DBZ, Bleach,
Hmm.
Naruto, One Piece, and Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
They may or may not be into something like or My Hero. They may not be into something like Spice and Wolf,
Hmm.
or their go-to might be the Big Ten, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But they're still into anime. But I digress. I could beat this point to death. I have a theory on this point.
And that's just a theory.
I mean, again. I mean, I've seen it in Hot Topic where you see a big like guy who looks like he's lifting like 300 pounds next to the nerdy guy, and they're both buying Pop Funkos.
Yeah, they're both
It's
they're
a
both
weird.
like it's weird, it turns out they're both best friends and they get Pop Funkos together. Good for them.
It turns out that the little scrawny kid is the one who's advising the big kid on which Pop Funkos to buy. No,
That is I think that's actually a web comic that it's like the nerd and the jock. Like that's actually a web comic. And like that's so funny.
it turns out they're really creating a gang, and that the little nerdy kid is the man behind the operations.
Yeah.
The big guy is security. That's
They're
really what it
creating a
is.
gang. They're creating a mafia. Just like welcome to the anime mafia. Yes. Why you do this to me? I take you in at the small little weeb, and you do this to me. You betray me.
Like the nerd is like, that's my Pop Funko. You take your hands off of it.
If
I will
you
fight you, and I will
if you-
win.
touch my asana from SAO Pumpko Fuck figure, I'm gonna kill you. It's like that.
Oh my god, there's so many things I can say. But anyway, I digress. I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. Where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, book you, go to your website, all that fun stuff?
If you search up, oh gosh, you can follow me on Twitter on @PatrickHurtVO. On YouTube, just search up Patrick Hurt. I post covers, music, sometimes comedy videos, and like just regular videos and like things like that. Instagram @PatAttacksYou. And then if you want to check out my voice acting stuff, just do patrickhurt.card.co. Like that. That's how you can find me. You can also get my contact with me if you want to hire me for a project or want me to audition for something. I'm more than happy to receive emails and things like that.
And then I'm gonna keep saying it is that you have to support things that you want to see get made. You have to support people that you want to continue to make things. It goes a long way. Support is not just money.
Mhm.
Or support is also a follow on social media. It's
Mhm.
just a hi, how you doing? Because there's been plenty of days where somebody said, "Hey man, how are you?" Or "Hey, dude, I liked your interview and I was having a bad day." It goes a long way when somebody throws you a compliment.
Mhm.
And you might not know what type of day they're having. Yesterday I had a tough day, and a hug would have been nice. A virtual hug would have been great. It would have been great. Or somebody saying, "Andrew, next time I see you, I'm going to push you down a flight of stairs," because that would have made me laugh. That would have made me really laugh.
No, that would have
That
made
is
me
what
laugh
happened.
too. It's just like I have to
You-
check my back every time I go downstairs now.
Next, I'm going to push you down a flight of stairs. That would have made me really laugh. But no, all jokes aside, definitely following people on social media really does help. And it
Mhm.
really, really helps in a lot of ways that people don't realize. It lets
Yeah.
people know that, hey, I'm interested in this person, engaging with them. It lets other people who have roles and jobs and things say, oh, this person actually has a following. And it goes a long, long way. So I definitely recommend that people do that, especially if you like somebody. And then as far as I'm concerned, I am Pop Anime Comics on the Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on the Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. I run an eBay store called Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. Look for comics and collectibles and come shop with us on eBay. It's super cool. I carry some interesting merchandise like this in my store. So I carry some cool stuff like this in my store now.
Whoa.
I carry some stuff like this.
Oh my.
Also, I carry some stuff like this in my store. I have all 15 of these in hollow foil. So if you
Wow.
can find one of them, I will match anybody's price who has all 15 of them. Oh, wait, that's me. So I will match my own prices. I try to keep them as reasonable as humanly possible on eBay. Because I'm reasonable. And then I also carry stuff like this in my store, which are super rare. And those go for anywhere from 100 to like 150. And I do have this one, which is a 101, and that one is not for sale. So if you want that card and you really want to make me an offer, I will accept $700 to $800 for that card. I will consider that as an offer. Whether I sell to you or not is up for debate. But I carry a lot of stuff like that, and those cards, usually these cards stay in my store for about 2 hours after I list them.
That's not a lot of time. Get to it.
So when I get those cards in, you really got to buy them. And that's everything that I got going on. And yeah, and I keep saying it. If you're looking for rare cards or collectibles and I don't have it, chances are I do know somebody who does. And I am more than willing to introduce you to that person so that you get what you need. And that's how I feel. So, but that's everything that I got going on. And I'm going to give you the final word.
Final word.
Okay, I believe that's a wrap, everybody.